The stars above the mining moon of Kelver 9 were calm that night. Nothing moved, no ships passed. Just the quiet sound of machines digging deep into the rocky surface. The workers, mostly alien engineers, worked in silence, heads down, tired, but focused. Then, everything changed. A loud siren echoed across the mine. Red lights flashed. One worker dropped his tool and stared at the sky. A dark shadow moved fast, too fast. Without warning, the ground exploded. Flames burst from the east tower. Cries rang out over the combs. One voice a young miner named. Rulo screamed into the emergency mic. "This is Kelver 9. Please, anyone, help us. We're under attack." Ships, black ships with no flags, they're everywhere. That was the last thing anyone heard. The signal cut off. Hours passed. In a quiet chamber deep within the Galactic Council Hall, a small blinking light appeared on a dusty monitor. A quiet chime sounded. Distress signal received, code red. But no one moved. Councillor Jex of the Velari Republic frowned. "Another low-level station in trouble," he muttered. "Probably pirates. They always send panic calls." He waved a hand, dismissing it. "Let local patrols deal with it." Another councillor nodded. "It's not worth our forces. We must save strength for larger threats." So the council did nothing, but someone else heard the signal. On a distant moon, hidden behind a red dwarf star, an old Terran array hummed to life. It had one purpose. Listen. A message replayed on repeat. "This is Kelver 9. Please, anyone, help us." The AI on duty didn't ask questions. It followed Protocol Dot. It sent a single pulse to Earth's Central Command. On Earth, inside a massive underground base, alarms woke up Admiral Royce. He sat up slowly, his face calm, eyes sharp. "Where?" he asked. His officer replied, "Kelver 9. Sir, mining moon, civilian colony, no defenses." Signal cut off mid-transmission. Royce stood. "Council response?" "None, sir." They ignored it. He nodded once. "Wake the fleet," he said. "We move now." In orbit, deep black ships powered on silent giants resting among the stars. These were not normal ships. These were Terran dreadnoughts. Ships with weapons so strong, even their own allies feared them. Each one shaped like a blade, edges glowing. Faintly, no flags, no names. Only numbers. Inside one, Pilot Vega strapped in. She whispered, "Did the council even care?" The voice of the ship AI answered, "They never do." "But we do," she said, tightening her gloves. Back on Kelver 9, everything was silent. The attackers were gone. Buildings were dust. Nothing moved. No more cries, except for one blinking light. A small escape pod floated near the ruins. Inside, a tiny alien child sat shaking, holding a toy. It was old, warm, but clearly Earth-made. The child whispered, "You said you'd protect us." Far above, in cold silence, Earth's fleet jumped into deep space. No warning. No announcements. Just movement like sharks in water. The galaxy didn't know it yet, but the humans had heard the cry no one wanted to hear, and they were coming. The Galactic Council Hall was filled with soft light, golden walls, and calm music. Leaders from over 30 species sat around a wide circle, sipping glowing drinks and speaking in soft tones. None of them looked worried. None of them spoke about Kelver 9. The emergency signal had already been filed under low priority. No one had followed up. To them, it was just another small colony lost to pirates or an accident. Nothing important. But across the stars, something very important was already in motion. In the dark emptiness of deep space, Earth's black halo. Fleet moved in complete silence. No music. No light shows. No warnings. Only silent. Black armored ships sliding between stars like knives in the dark. Each ship had no name on its surface, only a glowing Terran emblem etched near its core. A curved line, a broken circle, a warning. They were designed for one thing: response without hesitation. Admiral Royce stood alone in the command deck of the TNS Iron Vow. He looked calm, but every officer on the deck knew what that look meant. Controlled fire. Behind his silence were memories of old wars, betrayals, and screams that had gone unanswered too many times before. "Status," he said quietly. Commander Vale replied, "Fleet is running cold, sir. No emissions. All weapons charged. Jump drives." "Holding." Royce nodded. "ETA to Culver 9? 6 minutes." In the lower levels of the flagship, Pilot Vega checked her systems. Her fighter, named Whisper 6, had wings shaped like arrowheads and engines that barely made a sound. She looked down at a small, hollow image floating near her screen. A picture of the mining. Colony.children.families.workers.happy. Before the silence. Clenched her jaw. "We came too late." Her co-pilot whispered, "We're not late. We're just last to speak." Back on the council station, a junior analyst named Enlo noticed something strange. Dozens of high-energy pulses from deep space, but with no identification, no flags, no broadcasts. Just silent signatures moving fast toward a dead colony. He brought the data to his superior. The superior laughed. "Those are ghosts. Old Terran tricks. They haven't responded to outside calls in years." "But, sir—" "Drop it," the superior said. "Earth doesn't act without being asked." Enlo looked back at the screen, his hands cold. "They weren't asked," he said softly. "They were called." Admiral Royce stood as the Iron Vow reached orbit above KELVAR-9. A thick fog of dust and debris floated in space. Burnt metal, broken habitats, power lines dangling into the void. A scan lit up the screen. "No life signs?" "Except for one. A life." "Pod," Commander Vale said. "Signal weak, still intact." Royce's voice lowered. "Bring it aboard." The pod was pulled into the bay with soft magnetic locks. Engineers in armored suits opened it slowly. Inside, wrapped in emergency blankets, was the alien child, no more than 6 years old in human years. Shaking. Silent. Eyes wide with terror, but holding tight to a small object. An old, Earth-made toy drone. Vega approached and knelt beside the pod. "We heard you," she said softly. "You're safe now." The child didn't speak. But he nodded. Just once. On the bridge, Royce looked at the scans of the area. Black scorched marks across buildings. Traces of illegal plasma weapons. Shells used only by one faction, the Threx Dominion. Not pirates. Not an accident. A test. A message. He turned to his crew. "They didn't expect us to come." Commander Vale asked, "Do we send a warning?" Royce shook his head. "No," he said. "We send fire." The planet Culver 9 no longer looked like a place where life ever existed. What once held green mining domes and silver towers was now a graveyard of ash, glass, and twisted steel. Dust floated through space, dancing around Earth's silent warships. Like ghosts. The black halo fleet hovered above the ruined moon like a storm waiting to strike again. Inside the flagship Iron Vow, Admiral Royce watched the live feed from their orbital drones. Images of destroyed habitats, shattered homes, and blackened vehicles filled the screen. He said nothing. He didn't need to. Soft alarm beeped. Commander Vale turned toward the console. "Sir, long-range scan confirms this wasn't random. Targeted. Destruction. Full orbital strike pattern. Precision bombing." Royce asked quietly, "Any civilian survivors?" "One. Just the child in the escape pod." No one else made it. He nodded slowly. And the attackers? We've traced their exit path, Vale answered. 5 ships, cloaked, moving toward the Dask Rift. The Dask Rift ... Quotes Royce muttered, Threx space. Silence filled the bridge. Everyone knew what that meant. In the lower deck medical bay, pilot Vega stood near the recovery pod. The child, small, pale, and shivering, was asleep under a heated shield, and 4 fed nutrients slowly into his arm. The toy drone still rested beside him, gently glowing. Vega stared at the boy for a long time, then turned to the AI assistant beside her. Run face scan on the toy. The AI beeped and processed the request. Result: Terran engineering model, gifted to colonies during Earth's aid missions 27 years ago. Vega clenched her fists. We built this place, she whispered. We helped them start fresh. The AI replied, and now we rebuild what others tried to erase. Meanwhile, in the shadows of deep space, a Threx Dominion patrol ship flew silently through the Dask Rift. Inside, the crew laughed and played games. Their weapons were locked, their shields idle. They believed their mission was already done. They had destroyed a colony. They had sent a warning to the galaxy, and they believed, like many others, that Earth would never come. But one Threx officer checked the radar again, and frowned. There was a signal. Very faint, too fast to be a cargo ship. Too quiet to be a patrol. He whispered, Commander, something's following us. Back on the Iron Vow, Royce called a private meeting in the central command chamber. A large holomap floated between him and his top officers. The image showed the flight trail of the fleeing ships. They weren't hiding. They were running. We track, but we don't strike yet, Royce said. Why not? Asked Vega, just entering. The room. Royce looked at her. They think we're still debating. Like the Council, like the others. They don't believe we'll act without permission. He leaned forward. That's when we hit them hardest. Back in the medical bay, the child suddenly woke up screaming. He sat up fast, eyes wide, breath shaking. Vega rushed to his side. He pointed at the ceiling, tears in his eyes. They said no one would come. They said Earth forgot us. Vega shook her head and held his hand gently. No, she said firmly. We never forget our own. And for the first time, the child whispered something back. They were scared of humans. On the edge of the rift, the Threx patrol ship slowed. Lights dimmed. Cloaks activated. But it was too late. In the blink of an eye, 5 dark Terran warships dropped out of stealth-in formation, weapons charged, no word spoken. The Threx officer dropped his mug. How did they find us? A voice echoed across every Threx ship. Not from radio, not from any comm system. It was transmitted straight into their ship's systems. You were warned before. Now you will be remembered. In fire, above the dead moon of Kelver 9, the stars burned a little brighter. The silence had ended. Earth had arrived, and the first strike was seconds away. Asterisk deep in the Dask Rift, the space around the Threx fleet twisted with tension. Their patrol ships, sleek, serpent-like vessels, floated in a triangle formation. Cloaking systems were up, engines low, signals silent. They thought they were invisible, but Earth's fleet had already painted them with targeting lasers. Each Terran warship had locked on. Each weapon system waited for one word: fire. Inside the Threx command ship, Captain Vore paced the bridge with a smirk on his face. He was proud. The raid on Kelver 9 had gone perfectly. No losses, no resistance, and no punishment from the Council. They had sent a message. Earth is weak, he said to his officers. They hide behind old laws. They don't act unless they are begged. A young officer hesitated. But, Captain, we've picked up strange movements. Fast ships. No ID codes. Vor scoffed. Traitors or ghosts. Terrans love their games. But they don't act. But just as he laughed again, the lights dimmed. Then every screen on the bridge went black. Single image appeared. An Earth emblem. Glowing. And one word. Marked. On board the Iron Vow, Admiral Royce stood tall. He didn't smile. He didn't shout. He simply said, "Show them what silence brings." At that moment, 5 Terran warships uncloaked together sharp, like blades of black glass. Without warning, without sound. Weapons engaged, missiles launched, railguns fired in flashes that looked like lightning. The sky between the stars exploded. With fire. Inside the Threx fleet, panic broke out. "Shields up!" shouted one officer. "Too late!" cried another. One ship, Threx Delta 9, was ripped in half before it could respond. A railgun shell had passed through its engine core like a knife. Through cloth. Their cloaking failed. Their formation broke, and their pride burned. Captain Vor shouted, "Send a message. Tell Earth we surrender." But the comms were dead. The Terran AI had silenced their systems before the attack began. Back on the Iron Vow, Commander Vale watched the battle calmly. 3 enemy ships destroyed in 22 seconds, she said. 2 more remain. They're trying to run. Royce gave one nod. "Let one escape. Sir, let them carry the fear. Let the rest of the Dominion know." Earth responded. Meanwhile, back at the council hall, panic began to rise. News feeds showed flashes of explosions near the Dask Rift. Sensors across multiple star systems lit up. The council members rushed into emergency session. "Who attacked the Threx?" asked one. "They're not saying anything. Just retreating," said another. Then one voice broke the silence. It was young Enlo, the analyst from earlier. He stood, holding a datapad. "Satellite feeds show unidentified Terran signatures near the rift." The room went quiet. One elder gasped. "Earth responded?" Another whispered. "But we didn't approve anything." Enlo looked them all in the eyes. "They didn't ask you." On the edge of the rift, only one Threx ship escaped. It burned and limped through space, its engines coughing sparks, its hull scarred by rail fire. Inside, the crew worked in silence. All of them had seen something terrifying. The human way of war. Not with speeches, not with threats, but with silence, fire, and purpose. One wounded Threx soldier looked out the cracked window and whispered, "They never said a word. They just came." On board the Iron Vow, Admiral Royce stood with his hands behind his back. The child from the mining colony now rested safely in a medbay on the second deck. The war wasn't over yet, but a message had been sent. One Royce didn't need to explain with words. He simply looked at his crew and said, "When no one else listens, we speak last." The stars above the Dask Rift were quiet again, but the silence this time was heavy. Wreckage drifted slowly across the void. Pieces of Threx warships, twisted metal, burning fragments floated like broken bones of a giant. The only light came from the dim glow of Earth's fleet, still watching, still waiting. Inside the Iron Vow, Admiral Royce stood alone in the viewing deck. Below him, the remains of the enemy fleet shimmered against the darkness. "They called us ghosts," he said quietly. Commander Vale stepped beside him. "Now they believe in them." Royce didn't respond. He just watched as Earth's ships powered down weapons, but stayed in formation like lions resting, not retreating. On the Council's capital station, chaos had begun to spread. Emergency meetings, whispered debates, hushed panic. Some leaders tried to deny what happened. Others stared in silence at the footage. The flash of Terran weapons, the sudden destruction, the fear in Threx eyes. No warning, no signal, no mercy, Only Earth's old symbol left behind burned into the remains of a Threx cruiser hull. You were heard. At the heart of Earth's fleet, a small transmission was prepared. Not sent to the Council. Not sent to Threx. It was beamed into open space on all frequencies. It said only this. The cry was heard. The crime is noted. The response has been delivered. Earth will not seek permission to protect the abandoned. Black Halo command, no signature. No threat. Just facts. And with that, the fleet turned silently. On board the Warden's Oath, a smaller Terran ship, Vega sat beside the alien child. He was awake now, still quiet, but calmer. A nurse gave him warm soup. He held it with shaky hands. Vega smiled gently. "You're safe now?" He looked up, his voice soft. "They said no one would help, that humans don't care anymore." She leaned forward. "We don't answer calls with words." The child tilted his head. "Then how?" Vega simply said, "With fire." On a hidden Threx outpost, far from the Council's eyes, warlords gathered. Some shouted for revenge. Others feared escalation. Not one Threx general slammed his fist on the table. "We cannot allow Earth to act freely." But another spoke, a quiet one. "You saw what they did. 5 ships. Destroyed us. We didn't even see them coming." The first growled. "Then we build more." The quiet one nodded. "We can build fleets." But how do you fight something that doesn't follow your rules? The room fell silent. Back on Earth, the message from the fleet had reached the population. People paused their work. Old veterans stood still. Children watched old war halls again. Earth hadn't gone to war in decades, but today. They remembered why the galaxy once feared the Terrans, not because of cruelty, not because of power, but because Earth always came when no one else would. On board the Iron Vow, Admiral Royce walked into the dark war room. He looked at a massive display of the galaxy map. Red marks for danger zones, yellow for conflict, blue for peace. He stared at Kelver 9's old location, now marked with a flame icon. Vale entered quietly. "Should we send a statement to the Council?" "No," he said. "Then what do we do next?" He turned to her, eyes sharp. "Let them panic. Let them ask questions. But we don't speak. We don't? No. Not until the next scream is ignored." He pressed a command key. New systems began to scan outer signals, because Earth wasn't done. It was listening. Asterisk, the wreckage from the Threx fleet, still floated silently in the stars. Pieces of their ships spun like cold reminders that someone had listened. In a far-off system, a civilian cargo ship drifted by one of the destroyed Threx hulls. The crew stared in quiet fear at what they saw burned into the metal of the fallen flagship. To harm the forgotten is to call upon Earth. That message, carved deep by railgun fire, spread faster than light. Screens across colonies flickered with blurry images. Terran warships emerging from shadow. Threx cruisers torn apart mid-flight, and the eerie silence that followed. But Earth never claimed credit. No victory parade. No loud announcement. Only a single encrypted message beamed to the Galactic Council's secure channel. At the Galactic Council, the chamber was full, but no one spoke. The message from Earth played once. Again, on the giant screen in the center. "We did what others would not. We responded. No requests, no apologies, just truth. This is the line. Do not harm those under Earth's shadow." Silence. Then shouting, "We can't allow this." A Furian diplomat roared. "They acted alone." Shouted another, but one elder, old and quiet, leaned forward. "No, they didn't act alone. They acted for those we abandoned." That stopped the room. He turned to the others. "If Earth stands with the forgotten, then who do we stand with?" Back on the Iron Vow, Admiral Royce stood before his officers. The fleet was recharging near a small, silent moon. No metals, no rest, just quiet systems checks and empty corridors. Commander Vale looked at the holomap. We've received over 50 hidden signals since Kelver 9. Whispers from colonies. Unanswered cries. Secret fears. Royce walked up beside her. The galaxy's been screaming in the dark, he said. We just chose to hear them. In the ship's medical bay, the alien child was drawing. With crayons given by one of the Terran nurses, he scribbled something simple but haunting. A broken moon. A girl holding a small toy. And 5 black ships hovering in the sky above her, shaped like blades. Pilot Vega sat beside him, watching. What's that? He smiled faintly. Your ships, the ones that came. She asked, why 5? He pointed to each one. 1 for the scream, 1 for the fire, 1 for the silence, 1 for the answer. And 1, he paused, pointing to the smallest. Ship, for me. Across the stars, the Threx Dominion scrambled. They sent messages to the Council, denying involvement. They launched false news reports, calling Earth dangerous. But the galaxy wasn't listening. Instead, people everywhere on poor colonies, outer mining moons, small research stations whispered the same phrase. If Earth hears you, they come. Some said it with hope, some with fear, but all said it with respect. A week later, a broken freighter limped into neutral space, its engines dead, its life support low. Inside were sick refugees, workers from a forgotten outpost that had been hit by pirates. Their emergency beacon had failed. They had no COMS. No shields. They were already preparing for death. Until, in the blackness ahead, a shape emerged. A Terran medical ship. White. Quiet. Massive. It didn't ask questions. It docked. And its crew, humans dressed in dark armor with Red Cross symbols, entered and began saving lives. No cameras. No press. Just help. 1 refugee, weak and cold, whispered to the medic. How did you find us? The Terran medic simply said, you were heard. Back aboard the Iron Vow, Admiral Royce received a report about another outpost, about another whisper, another chance to answer. He nodded. Ready the fleet. Commander Vale smiled slightly. You think the Council will try to stop us? Royce looked out. Into space. They can try. He turned, eyes hard. But Earth doesn't wait for permission to do what's right. Stories spread faster than any ship. Across dusty colonies and deep space listening posts, people shared quiet tales, not of war or conquest, but of answering the call. Old miners on cold moons whispered about shadow-shaped Terran ships. Refugees described the arrival of silent medics in black armor. Children drew pictures of Earths, warships like guardians in the sky. The galaxy had forgotten what it meant to be protected, but Earth reminded them. And now, the galaxy would not forget again. On the Iron Vow, Admiral Royce stood in the central command room. All lights were dimmed except for the soft glow of a new signal dot. Another call for help. This one was weak. Static filled. From a dying station near the Edge Nebula. The Council had marked the area as lost. Too dangerous to enter. Unimportant. But Earth systems didn't filter importance by status or profit. They only saw distress. Royce turned to his officers. Same rules? Commander Vale nodded. No speeches, no delays, direct action. Then let's move. All around them, the Black Halo fleet began to hum. One by one, the Terran warships activated. Engines glowed. Weapons powered on. Stealth systems adjusted. There were no flags. No horns. Just movement. Like a storm forming in space. Meanwhile, back on the Council station, silence ruled. The emergency chambers were empty now. No more shouting. No more votes. Just quiet regret. Young. Enlo walked through the empty hall with a datapad. He paused and looked out the massive glass wall toward the stars. Somewhere out there, Earth's fleet moved, not waiting, not explaining, not just acting. He opened a new file, and he wrote a single line. When Earth responds, no words are needed. Only fire, only honor. In a school on a remote colony world, a teacher asked her class, "What does it mean when the Terrans arrive?" A small girl stood and answered confidently, "It means someone was hurting, and now the hurting stops." The class nodded, no fear, only understanding, inside the medbay of the warden's oath. The alien child from Kelver 9 sat quietly with Pilot Vega. He was stronger now, smiling again. A new toy drone floated beside him, spinning in the air. He looked up at Vega. "Will you leave again?" Vega smiled. "We never really leave. We're just listening for the next voice." He tilted his head. "Even if it's quiet?" She nodded. "Especially then." At the Edge Nebula, the forgotten station was dark. Power drained. Life support failing. Inside, the last few colonists had accepted death. Until the stars outside shifted, and shapes appeared black and glowing. Terran. Warships. Dozens. Their engines moved like waves. A single small message played. Over the failing speakers. "Help has arrived. Hold on." Tears fell. Not from fear. From relief. Back on the iron vow, Royce stood in the com room. A junior officer approached. "Sir, the station is stabilizing. Medics are inside." "We lost no." "1." Royce nodded once. "Log the mission as completed." "Do you want to send a report to the council?" Royce looked out the window again. "No." He tapped the screen and opened the next signal log. "So long as someone is calling, we move and far beyond." Any camera or record. Earth's ships faded once more into the dark. No metals. No noise. Just the memory left behind. That when no one else comes, Earth does. Asterisk.